Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are, welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time, as we wrap up Thursday, 17th April, 2025. Let's see what stories are unfolding around us. China is facing economic headwinds due to the ongoing trade war with the United States, characterized by escalating tariffs that impact various sectors. Tariffs are increasing costs for American solar buyers because of China's dominance in solar manufacturing. Beijing considers these tariff hikes meaningless and is responding with punitive measures targeting the American services sector. China has replaced its top international trade negotiator, appointing Li to the team, signaling a potential shift in trade discussions with Washington, and has indicated a willingness to talk if Washington demonstrates respect. The trade war is disrupting the global supply chain, as evidenced by increased canceled freight vessel sailings from China. Chinese exporters are actively seeking new buyers in emerging markets due to reduced access to the U.S. market. The Trump administration's plan to add fees to packages from China is expected to negatively impact companies like Shine, Temu, and some TikTok shop sellers, raising concerns for American consumers. Domestically, China is addressing youth unemployment by offering 28,000 internships through Tencent as approximately 12 million graduates enter the job market. Beijing is emphasizing strategic planning for Chinese carmakers, global expansion, prioritizing countries with favorable geopolitical relations. The government is also cautioning EV makers and technology providers to adhere to development rules and avoid exaggerating the capabilities of self-driving technology. China's first quarter GDP exceeded expectations at 5.44%, but several investment banks have subsequently lowered China's growth forecasts for the year. Shifting focus to Nvidia, the company is navigating challenges related to its chip sales to China. CEO Jensen Huang visited Beijing and emphasized the importance of the Chinese market, following the U.S. ban on sales of its H20 AI chips. This visit occurred amidst a House investigation into Nvidia's chip sales across Asia for potential violations of US regulations. The U.S. government initially allowed Nvidia to sell AI chips to China, but later reversed course, restricting these sales. Stock values declined after Jerome Powell voiced concerns about tariffs and the tech sector's pullback, with Nvidia's stock specifically affected by the restrictions on chip sales to China. Meanwhile, the United States is engaged in an ongoing trade war with China, marked by escalating tariffs that are increasing costs for American consumers and businesses. The Trump administration's plan to impose fees on packages from China, impacting companies like Shine and Temu, has raised concerns for American consumers. The U.S. market is becoming less accessible for Chinese exporters, prompting them to seek new markets. The U.S. government initially permitted Nvidia to sell AI chips to China, but subsequently reversed its position, imposing restrictions on these sales due to national security concerns. These actions and policies reflect the U.S. approach to trade and technology regulation concerning China. United States. Despite record-high tariffs, Chinese exporters are finding innovative methods to navigate the U.S. market, although industry experts remain wary. Chinese drone and flying taxi developers are specifically targeting the U.S. market despite the high tariffs, leading to increased production within China. Suppliers are quickly reassessing their relationships and exploring options to adapt to the evolving supply chain. Fitch forecasts that Hong Kong banks will experience the largest increase in bad loans in the Asia-Pacific region due to US tariffs, which will negatively impact their profitability and asset quality. Cocoa farmers in Ivory Coast are worried about potential U.S. tariff plans, particularly as they are already contending with adverse weather conditions and plant diseases. Trade talks between the U.S. and Japan have commenced, fostering optimism and influencing base metal prices. India's financial markets have shown resilience, with Finance Minister Sitharaman noting their strength despite global tariff war concerns. The Indian stock market has experienced a robust 4-day rise. The Sensex closed at 78,553.2, gaining 59 points, 1.96%, and the Nifty 50 settled at 23,851.65, up by 414 points, 1.77%. 83 stocks reached their 52-week highs on Thursday. Market rebound is attributed to easing trade tensions and strong domestic inflows. Investors see India as a hedge against trade flow fluctuations from market volatility since April 2. The rupee is facing headwinds due to expectations of a weaker yuan. Ivory Energy's shares increased by 6% to Yota 2,378.75, anticipating Q4 results on April 22, 2025. MK Global Financial Services projects moderate growth in India's auto sector for Q4 FY25, naming Eicher Motors, TVS Motor, Mahindra and Maruti Suzuki as key outperformers. The Indian stock market will be closed for trading on 3 days in April 25, due to scheduled holidays. SEBI is carefully evaluating the systemic implications before approving the NSE IPO, prioritizing public interest and investor protection. This cautious approach comes despite the NSE addressing governance, litigation, and technology-related concerns. Italy's Premier Giorgia Meloni, known as Italy's Trump whisperer, is scheduled to meet with former U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington. This marks the first meeting between Trump and a European leader since the recent tariff announcements. The meeting will assess Meloni's potential role as a mediator between the U.S. and the European Union, given the current trade disputes. Japan's trade dynamics have been closely watched as President Donald Trump initiated tariff and trade negotiations with a Japanese official at the White House, marking Japan as the first nation for such face-to-face discussions. The exchange included President Trump presenting a book to Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, aiming to cultivate a bond similar to the one he had with Shinzo Abe. Despite these efforts, Japan's export growth in March was a modest 3.9%, less than projected, reflecting the impact of ongoing tariff disputes as the nation navigated the complexities of US-China trade tensions. Amid these discussions, Japanese stocks saw gains, partly attributed to the yen's exclusion from the U.S. trade talk. Russia recognizes its vulnerability to the ripple effects of a global trade war, even without direct tariff impositions. Canadian businesses are carefully evaluating their ties to the U.S. amid the evolving trade landscape. This reassessment comes as the global economy continues to be reshaped by ongoing trade tensions. Turning to Asia, JP Morgan Asset Management highlights potential investment gains in Asian stocks, focused on domestic markets. Meanwhile, shipping costs from Vietnam to the U.S. are anticipated to rise. European stocks exhibited little movement on Thursday, a reaction to the European Central Bank's latest monetary policy announcement. In Germany, Grover, a tech rental company, is close to finalizing a restructuring agreement in court. Across the border in France, Eli Lilly manufactures insulin pens and has innovated a daily pill for weight loss and blood sugar control, demonstrating similar safety and effectiveness to injectable medications such as Ozempic. Shifting to South Korea, authorities have voiced concerns regarding a possible economic downturn. To stabilize its currency, the won, the nation has chosen to keep interest rates steady. This decision underscores the need for a balanced approach, considering both internal and global economic factors. Lastly, in South Africa, Finance Minister Gordon Wana has stated that raising the value-added tax, VAT, is unavoidable. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM today.